Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We are super excited. Who's excited about this book? I know I was. I know I was because I got to already flip through it and read it, but you guys get to pick it up today, right? It's finally out.
It's out now. It's out now.
How does that feel to have, this is your first published book, right?
Yes, as far as I know. No, no, it's good. I feel a lot of things, you know. It's weird seeing like people with it in their hands because for the past couple months it's just been me and editors and friends that have it in their hands. So I feel pretty great about it. It's very humbling at the same time, you know. Like I'll read it and be like, oh, I wish I had done this differently or I had said this, and so. But it's all lessons that you learn for the next one.
Yeah. So when did this process start for you? When did you decide that you wanted to write a book?
About like. I think it was like a year and a half, maybe a little bit more ago. I think I was just I was feeling, I think it was in the middle of maybe season 6 or so of Pretty Little Liars, and I was feeling good, but I wanted sort of a different sort of creative outlet, and I figured, I had always kind of done it on my own, or I had written for basically for myself, so. Even with that, it's a bit of a leap in logic to be like, well, why don't I just write a book? Yeah. But I wanted to do it. My dad's a writer, and he really encouraged me. But it was easy for him to do because he was had written like 7 books by that point.
Wow.
So he's a New York Times bestseller as well.
Yeah, Stephen Harding, correct?
Yeah. It's really,
you guys know him?
We have the same last name.
Should, yeah.
Nobody. No, he's like a very like historical nonfiction. Like that's his thing, and people like. It's weird, like, having somebody come up to my dad and be like, I love your work, and, like, you're a historical genius. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to write the book, and here it is.
So growing up, were you always interested in writing? What kind of writing did you do? Was it, like, poetry or just short stories?
I wish I had, like, the emotional depth of poetry, but I don't. I'm pretty basic. No, I just mainly sort of, like, I would write down experiences that I had, which is sort of similar to what the book is, going and apart from like reliving, family history and everything, I always like gravitated towards the writing that was almost like journalistic in some way. Mm-hmm. Like I grew up with like National Geographic all over the house just because that's something that my dad did. And then also both my parents encouraged me, which is hilarious considering I'm now on TV. They encouraged me to like not watch TV and get outside. They were like, it's horrible for you. Like, don't ever be on TV. And here we are. Yeah, whoops. So I was outside constantly, and that was an experience that I always had. And so that's sort of what I would write about. Yeah. Not well, but yeah.
And so you were always, so this book touches on your bird watching
there it is.
Hobby, shall I say.
Mm-hmm.
When did you start actually looking at birds in a cool way? How do you say that?
I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah.
No,
you seem pretty cool. You're a cool bird watcher.
Thank you. I started doing it, really as a kid and getting like really excited about it. And I had like this old Audubon guide and like I wouldn't go outside and was a nerd. But then like middle school and high school rolled around and I realized that probably the fast track to having a girlfriend didn't involve talking about, so... but then now as an adult, like I've gotten back into it and I just am more sort of comfortable with myself. And now I like wear it proud as much as you can. And so it's just something that I do to also like relieve a lot of tension because you get very like centered when you're just outside, like looking and listening. It's just like very simple, especially nowadays when we have like external consciousnesses with our phones and like constantly it's just good to be like, oh, look at these like beautiful things that are flying around. Mm-hmm. It's very relaxing. Yeah,
is it weird for you to be like a part of this world now where I know I grew up too without any of the internet sort of, I had to be outside. My parents made sure we were outside. We had tree houses. Yeah. I hope kids still have tree houses.
I think they do. I just think they like do selfies and like, with their like back in the tree house and their eyes are altered with like the Snapchat filters. Their treehouse has a face too.
Yeah. Now you just know you're in the treehouse because it's all over Instagram that I was in a treehouse instead
and then
of
you have
actually
your friends that tweet, you're like, why are you in the treehouse without me? Like, that's the annoying thing that I can't stand is if I'm like, I'm here in New York, I'm like, oh, love in New York. Somebody's like, you didn't say you were in New York. In New York, I'm like, because I'm busy right now, man. So like now you have to explain to everybody why you're in New York. But
Like, how do you know where I am?
right, yeah, that's the thing that I've never understood. But as I guess I'm a millennial. I think I'm still in that age group for now. Or I guess you don't really leave it. But either way, no, I definitely do use social media, and now as an adult, having not grown up with it, as you said, it is still something that's very odd to me. Like I don't, ever really think like, man, we're having a wonderful moment. I'm gonna put it online.
Yeah.
Like.
You know what? I gotta capture this.
I gotta share this with 4 point whatever million people. Because I don't know if everybody would care. Like I think if I was like, man, you know what? I love cappuccinos. How many of you care? Like raise your hands.
Well, I think you have like.
What? One.
You have a couple million followers on Twitter, though, so some people care about what you're doing.
Some people do.
Yeah.
Or some baristas are like, that's a horrible cappuccino. I hate you now. Yeah.
You did not pour the milk right to make the cool design on the top.
I have tried so hard.
Yeah,
and all
it
just looks like, Sesame Street, they got character that got blowtorched or something. I don't know. Yeah.
So is it important for you, though, to put down your phone and go outside? And when you do go somewhere, where is it that you tend to go and watch the birds or enjoy the atmosphere?
Be quiet. It is important to me because especially it's a give and take. Like you can't be a complete Luddite and not use, or at least in my line of work, you can't not use your phone. So it's good to say, all right, during this time, I'm going to be here, Instagramming, tweeting, checking emails, reading scripts, doing all of that with this little thing that's in my pocket. And then at a certain time, I'm not touching it anymore. And the great thing about living in Los Angeles is you can go, 20 minutes that way, and you're in actual mountains. So I usually, I'll do that. Or there are parks. There are all kinds. Like if I'm in New York, Central Park is fantastic. Yeah. Yes, it's not like the wilderness with all like the moms running by in Lululemon with like dogs.
It's
that are
our
nuts.
wilderness,
Yeah, that's wild to me. But yeah, so I usually try and do that. Actually, one of the chapters in the book is I read about this experience that I had with Keegan Allen, who plays Toby on my show, where he and I went out and actually needed to use social media, but like post about being outside. It was the weird sort of conundrum. And as we're out there, we're like walking in this beautiful path in the Angeles National Forest. We see this guy walking by. He walks past us, and we look at each other, and we're like, that was Moby, like the musician.
Yeah.
He's just like walking by, and I'm like, this is so Los Angeles right now. This is unbelievable.
Good thing you had your phone, though. Did you get a picture?
No, I didn't go up to him. I was like, no, I'm not going to fast track to ruining his peaceful time, and he looked so peaceful.
Yeah.
I want to be like, hey, Moby, I loved you in high school. Like.
He's all about the peacefulness.
He would probably spit on me. So, yeah.
So being in New York, you mentioned Central Park, but what do you think of all the pigeons around? Are pigeons some of your favorite birds?
They are Mike Tyson's favorite bird.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. In fact, I think the first fight that he ever got in was over a pigeon.
Really?
Yeah.
So did you do research on like bird lovers and what bird relates to people?
Oh, yeah.
And wow.
Yeah, we I have a couple other buddies of mine who are gigantic nerds, and we all like one night did all this research, and it was like really a wonderful experience. And then, I figured out like, which do I distill into the book? But yeah, no, I mean, people do love birds, and they'll talk to me about it in ways that are kind of like admitting that maybe they watch porn. Like nobody wants to. Like they'll just kind of look around and then look at me and be like, hey man, like I really do it too. Like I have binoculars and everything. Like, it's that kind of like they're kind of ashamed about it.
So loud and proud, right?
Loud and proud. I think you asked about pigeons. I don't know where like pornography came in. Well, like
pigeons and porn,
Pigeons and porn.
It's the internet.
There's some beautiful pigeons around the world. Actually, Keegan just sent me this thing. I've never seen it, but it's a fruit pigeon of some. It's like multicolored. It's beautiful. He's like, let's go find this. I'm like, sure. I guess we're gonna go to like Polynesia or wherever that is. But
hey, that's cool.
Yeah, next book. Keegan and I go to Polynesia to find a fruit pigeon.
Yeah, and take pictures.
Actually, that's a genius idea.
No one heard it.
Copyrighted.
Do you have a spirit bird, a bird that represents maybe who you are?
I've thought a lot about that with apparently my copious amounts of time. I don't know. I mean, I always love my family has this like folklore with cardinals, and it's the state bird of Virginia where I grew up. But I always think like, what I would be, and I would love to say something like, you're like an eagle, like a bird, and I don't think so. I'd probably be like a heron, like, the thing that like stands still for like hours on end, and then will like stab its face in the water and get a fish. I'm like, that's probably me.
All this because I recently watched Planet Earth too, and did you see the one with the flamingos in formation?
That I did not see.
What?
I know.
That's why I think I'm a flamingo.
Is this Planet Earth 2?
Yes. You would love it.
God, why have I not seen it?
I feel like I know you, but you would really love this Planet Earth too.
I'm gonna cry. It's gonna be beautiful. Like so many feathers, Yeah.
But this book, when I first heard about it, Odd Birds, you find out that you're a bird watcher, but you also talk a lot about fame.
Yeah.
And how you deal with it. Is there? I'm assuming that it has something to do with watching birds and people perhaps watching you.
Yeah, there's a weird correlation between it. I there is a moment that is in the book where I sort of talk about having gone down into like this one place that's really known for its like in the migratory season or whatever, and seeing these people with these huge telephoto lenses, and then like the later seeing, was it Lucy? I forget which one it was now. Thankfully, I wrote it down. Where I was coming out of an event in Hollywood and seeing this same lens used to like photograph probably not me, like probably the more famous person behind me, but like that sort of weird correlation of people get starstruck in certain ways, and I've never really had it with like another actor. Mm-hmm. Like there have been very few people that I was like, oh my, like can't like I lose the ability to speak in front of, but I have had that moment where I get very excited. This is so silly. Where I've been searching for this one thing, and then I'm out in like some random marshland, and it's there, and I'm like, "Oh yes!" Like I like suddenly scream for joy. Yeah. That's probably the closest thing I get to like starstruck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like me seeing J-Lo on the street of New York or something. Yes.
Have you seen J?
I have.
I feel like you would know it's her judging by like how many security personnel she might have. Mm-hmm. Like that's pretty like. Oh, I bet that's a famous person. Like even if you don't see
somebody in there.
Yeah.
But no, I love that correlation between it. And you talk a lot about how you want to stay true to who you are while maintaining, your fame, especially being a part of a huge show that has so many followers.
Yeah, yeah.
What's important to you? How do you stay grounded? Do you surround yourself with, people from your childhood, or what are ways that you make sure that,
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's good to also. I feel very lucky in that my family, for all of their flaws, have been really fantastic. As much as we would like to, from like my short time in the entertainment industry, you meet people that you look at them and you're like, God, you're a total mess. And a little bit of that is the entertainment industry and what, especially towards women, like what's put upon them and everything, which is really sad and really vicious. But then you also like look at their family life and you go, oh, you're screwed from the start, Yeah. Like this, parents that are complete, low lifes, and they'll like push their children towards being famous. Mm-hmm. It's really sad, man. And I have never had that. My mom is often told by her coworkers that I'm in a magazine, mm-hmm. like because it just doesn't matter to me, and she was like, oh, that's cool, can I see it? He's not naked in it, is he? And I'm like, and she's like, no, okay, cool, he's got clothes on. So that's like the kind of family that I come from. So I think I'm lucky in that I didn't have like catastrophic fame, like I didn't wasn't like in the Twilight series, where you have zero privacy for the years that's in theaters or whatever. But I've been lucky that I have like the right amount where as I say in the opening pages of the book, I was hiking once and had like a thing over, like a hat on, like a sort of a balaclava type contraption, because I didn't want to get sunburned because I'm an idiot. But I walked by this teenager and like kind of made eye contact and like nodded, and then kept going, and then I hear like, Ian, and no joke, like that. She had like recognized me, and that was shocking. That was like one of those like, yeah, I'll take a picture with you because that's a skill. Like, you should get into bird watching because like you're able to notice like the little details.
It's the eyes,
It's the eyes, the window to
eyes.
soul or whatever that phrase that I'm butchering is.
So, you talk about your perfect amount of fame, but the show Pretty Little Liars is coming to an end. We have 8 episodes left.
Oh, wait, who did that?
Aw.
Nice.
7 years of your life, though, with one show.
Yeah.
Is it a little bittersweet, though, to say goodbye? And
Totally. I mean, it really feels... No, I don't want to say it's like grad school because that sounds really boring. But it feels... Yeah, I guess in some way I keep trying to make comparisons to what it feels like and what it's like, and I just don't have them. I mean, it was such a wonderful experience, and at times it was really horrible, and it was just all of those things at once. And, I when people ask me about, like, what will I remember the most, or, like, what scene did I love, I don't really remember the scenes, because I think what I remember the most is the people that I was working with. And I remember the cast and what we were doing at that time. I could not tell you the dialogue really from any scene that Lucy and I had. And it wasn't because I was like on all kinds of drugs at the time. I was like literally stone cold sober and just don't remember, but it was because I remember talking with her about life and about what she was going through and like seeing her grow up and seeing me grow up. So that's what I'm going to miss the most, because we really do feel like family in some way. Like they feel like siblings of mine, especially like Shay, who I try to make fun of and like physically accost as much as possible. And vice versa. She does it to me too. It's not like she's some sweet, innocent thing. Whatever. She's like, oh, Ian's so mean. I'm like, yeah, it's because you're a monster.
You're a monster.
Yeah.
Well, you say in the book, too, that Ashley Benson every day tries to...
hit me in the nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I can have kids. Yeah, she is... Like, I see her, and I have, like, PTSD now. It's to the point where if a blonde woman walks by me, I, like, I was like, oh, no. It's like and especially here in New York, there's, like, a lot of blonde women walking around. And they're like, oh, my God.
You're like, stop screaming at me, you weird
Please
guy.
don't. Please don't.
Please don't hurt me.
Tears. Yeah, no, she
had,
loves
like,
that.
lots of little sisters on this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact,
What it felt like?
yeah, I guess they are, though. I guess I am older than them. Yeah, no, it felt really... it felt like that a lot. Also because if I was, shooting, they were there every single day, in every episode, all the time. And my schedule kind of varied, So sometimes I would only come in for like a week, or come in for a day, like a week. And so they would have, they'd be so exhausted, and I would come in and be like, why is everybody so tired? So I was kind of that annoying brother that like comes back from college to all the drama that the family was going through. So
We haven't worked that much.
yeah, like fuck up, Ashley, and that's when I got hit in the nuts.
Yeah.
Was that?
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Well, in the book, too, you talk about funeral scenes were kind of your favorite, and
so much
sex
fun.
scenes were your least favorite.
Yeah, totally.
Can you talk about the difference between there? Because
Complete
if I
difference
was
from
filming
real
a
life.
funeral,
Yeah.
I'd be like, that's really sad. But you say it was
it's
actually
hilarious.
fun.
That's great. Especially when Vanessa Ray / Cece died. We
Didn't die in this show.
or didn't yeah, like whenever you say like died, you're like, well, let's see. Like we're gonna see them again. Like, yeah, she's totally dead. So like, but that initial, sort of thing that we shot with her, it was great just because, she was lying in an actual coffin, and, I was kind of looking at her, and at one point she like kind of waved, and then they're like, in action. She's like, she would, not like they would look like that in a coffin, but she would, do the dead pose or whatever. She had like flowers, and then they're like, cut. And you see her kind of like move around and like pull her cell phone out. So she's like tweeting from a coffin. And plus we're all together. And so of course it's just mayhem and people being deeply unprofessional. But then like with love scenes, I had to like remove all of the hair from my body, except from what's here.
Was that like in your contract that you had to be totally smooth on
Like
your...
a porpoise. Yeah. Like a seal. I had to be completely smooth. And then, of course, because my natural physique is doughy, it was like, got a little bit of love on you. I was like 2 weeks. I had to know 2 weeks ahead of time so I could hate my life for that time. And then I would, go and like do the scene. I'd be really dehydrated and
Great.
yeah, not to mention like, so we'd have like body makeup on and, my spray painted abs or whatever. And then we'd be in these sheets that were treated in a way that they wouldn't like reflect the lights from overhead. So it wouldn't mess with the camera. So it had this weird like sticky vibe. So whenever we rolled around in a way that no humans do when they're doing it, like the sheets would come with me. And then of course and then it would like remove the sheets from on top of Lucy, and then she's naked, and then we have to cut because like we obviously this is an actual porn, It's the third time it's come up in this interview. But like once we were doing one of these like rolling things, and I put my arm down too soon, and Lucy continued to move, and it like pulled her hair.
Oh God.
And she was like, "Oh, mother," and like sweet little Lucy Hale, like words that came out of her mouth were unforgivable. Yeah.
She was here recently and just said sex scenes are so awkward because they look super sexy when fans are watching them, but when you guys are shooting them, you're surrounded by men and lights, and you guys are sweating, and it's really not.
Yeah.
And a lot of Listerine.
A lot of Listerine, kind of. Towards the end, we stopped caring. Like, she'd literally be, like, sipping coffee. I'd be eating, like, an onion sandwich. And then they're like, okay, guys, we're ready. We're like, oh, we're ready? All right. And then come back, I'm like,
So funny.
So they, I think,
I mean. Comfortable,
Yeah, a little too comfortable.
Well, in the book, you say you call her Lucy Goosey.
Yeah.
What will you miss about Lucy Goosey? I'm sure you guys will see each other, though.
Yeah, I mean, we've actually been, like, texting occasionally because, she was doing a pilot, and I'm doing another pilot.
Ian has another show coming, guys, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Knock on wood. Is this wood?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. It's she was shooting down in Atlanta, and I was shooting back in L.A., and, she was like, how's your show different from Pretty Little Liars? And I was like, well, first off, it's a comedy. Second, it's by, the same people that did New Girl. And third, it's set in Antarctica.
Nice.
So it's wild. It's absolutely nuts. But hilarious. So she and I have been texting and doing all that. So, we keep in touch. And Keegan, I still harass a lot. And he'll send me pictures. He's like, what bird is this? And it's clearly just a field, like, with nothing in it. Yeah. And he's like, what is it, Ian? Don't you see it? If you're really good at it, you would know. And, like, fuck you, Keegan. Yeah. Yeah.
Before I go to the audience Q&A, I have to ask you, when you found out finally who A or Uber A or AD or whoever it is now that we're up to, were you satisfied?
AD R56.
It could still possibly be you. Who knows?
Yeah, sure.
But were you satisfied with who A was? Do you think fans are going to be like, finally we know and we're happy about it?
I think so. I mean, I also, the fans are pretty devout, as people know. And it's hard to like summarize 7 years in that amount of time. But I think people will be satisfied. But it's kind of like, I'll see things on Twitter where people are like, how could you do this to us? Yeah. I want to be like, it's like, that's the point of a television show. Yeah. Like, to switch things up. Like, if it were just Lucy and I, like, baking a cake the whole time.
You mean when they brought Nicole back and we were all like, what the heck? We were looking forward to, like, just you guys like walking into the sunset and beautiful wedding, which I hope still happens.
Sure. Like, now, if it were just, like, us making pancakes the whole time, it was like, did you get the right butter? It's like, I got the unsalted. It's like, I wanted the salted butter.
Go back to
like, why didn't you go? It's like, well, I don't have time because I need to go, Like, that's boring. All of you are asleep right now. Like, well, of course that's dull. Nobody wants to watch that. But no, I think it will turn out well. I think people will be satisfied to a point. And right when it seems like it's going to be really great, it might do a little,
Which Pretty Little Liars tends to do.
Yeah.
Always taking us for.
But with 8431.
R2AD.
R2AD. Yeah, that would be great. Like, AD is just R2D2.
Yeah.
from
Like
Star
we're
Wars.
in the
Like,
future.
There it is. You know?
You're gonna bump up a few more years on Pretty Little
Yeah.
Liars, and we're gonna end with like A is a robot that has been bird watching us
Oh,
the whole
yes.
time.
That would make sense. I don't know why they didn't go with that when they had to cover up Ezra's thing. It's like, why do you have pictures of us? It's like, oh, I just know I have the cameras because there are birds up there, and I was like, watch them. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Perfect.
Totally, you're not a weird creepo.
Yeah.
But no, where was I going with that? I can't even remember. Something about 80. Oh, no, but I think, the one sort of juicy tidbit I could give is I was happy that this person, place, or thing that is the ad, as I like to call them, it's not just some complete random. Mm-hmm. What I think is really great is that it's somebody that we've seen before. And it's not just like...
How many times have we seen them, though, Ian?
That's a good question. Exactly 26. No.
And all the fans will be like, how many episodes have this person been in? 26 episodes.
Oh, my God, this person was in 26 episodes. But no, I'm happy that it's not going to be like, this is Amos from the country. It's like, I wanted to get you, nasty women, or somebody that nobody cares about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it should be good. Yeah. People will be happy.
Cool. Well, it's on tonight. Correct.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Your book's out. Your book's out, and it's on tonight. But I want to get to some
I'm wearing the same
questions.
thing. I just realized in this. Look at that.
Like your denim.
Yeah. It's cheap and it's easy.
Yeah.
Well, that's my mentality. Oh, sorry, fan questions. Or people
Who's
questions,
up?
people in the audience.
Here we go.
Hi.
Hey.
If you woke up tomorrow as a bird, what bird would it be?
Nice. That's a good question. God, I feel like I've been doing this all over the place. I really wish that it was some awesome, sexy thing. And it probably wouldn't be. I think I'd be like one of those things that you see on the beach, maybe like a sandpiper, that runs down, pecks in the sand, and then the tide comes in, and then it runs back, and then it runs back out, and then runs, and that's its whole life. I think that would probably be me, if that isn't really sad or anything. Yeah. Oh, thank you. It's really poetic.
I have quite the image in my head now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's next?
Congratulations on your book. I
Thank
can't
you.
wait to read it. But
Thank
my
you.
question is, did you find it difficult to write a book while you were filming, or did you find it therapeutic when you would come home after a long day of shooting?
Yeah, both of those. It was like one of these things where I would come home sometimes and be like, oh my God, I can't believe I need to do this now. But then simultaneously, if it the thing that I was writing coincided with maybe an experience that I had had that day, it sort of would jog my memory. The other lovely thing is especially over the last season, most of my cast knew that I was doing it at some point, and so I interviewed a bunch of them, and a lot of the stuff that I wrote about individual cast members didn't make it into the book because it didn't sort of it wasn't as streamlined. But yeah, it was a very well-rounded experience. Days where I felt like, God, I am a genius, and the next day I'm like, I'm illiterate. I can barely type. I'm an idiot. So it was a very well-rounded experience. It was really great.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Was the cover the easiest or the hardest part of the whole process? Like picking the font and picking that certain bird that's on the O?
Yeah, what kind of bird is that on there?
That's called a Get Ready for This.
I was like, get ready for this. What a bird name that is.
Yeah, it's a northern Get Ready for This. No, it's called a painted redstart, and the thing is, it's not common at all, and it's a bit of a symbol because I was actually out in my backyard one day and just saw it, and 2 of these things come to Los Angeles a year, and it's a bit symbolic just because it came to me and nobody really believed me. I was like, I definitely saw this thing, and my dad was like, cool, I don't care, and my mom also was like, that's lovely, I don't care. But then I told a friend of mine who's an avid birder as well, and he's like, Ian, that's impossible. And it's sort of thing of all right, I guess I gotta go and do it alone, and it's my truth, and that's really what matters. And so I guess that's what that kind of symbolizes. Oh. But yeah, no, and the cover I just got really anxious about, and so I was like, let's just take this photo, and I can't do it, I hate it. But actually what's nuts is that there's a retaining wall in my backyard, and this white is the retaining wall. So
A backyard shoot.
it's backyard shoot.
Yeah.
We're utilizing all spaces.
What kind of birds do you have in your backyard?
Not a ton. It's no, that's not true. We'll get some. There's this one owl that sits up that just will not. As much as I love birds, this thing will not shut up. Like I'm like trying to be loving and compassionate. I'm like, I swear to God, like if I'm gonna go get a BB gun and like deal with this. Just kidding, PETA. But yeah, no, we got a bunch.
A true birder with the BB gun.
Yeah, right.
Well, guys, if you're into birds and if you're into Ian, then you should pick up this book, Birds. It's out today.
Yeah, out today.
Yep, and you'll be going to Barnes & Noble soon to do a book signing. How fun is that?
In like 11 minutes.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and congrats on Pretty Little Liars,
Thank
your new
you.
show, your book.
Yeah, thank
Good
you so
things
much.
ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.